Welcome to Dove for Peace. I am Reverend Karem Barratt, and I'd like to start tonight by elevating a prayer of peace and sending some light to the world. So I invite you to pray with me before we get started. May the energy of peace flow all through the land. May the energy of peace build a temple in the heart of those suffering and in the hearts of those who can help. May the energy of peace especially make its presence felt in the beautiful country of Nepal and other places experiencing violence, hunger, injustice, and fear, so it might become the ground upon which understanding, cooperation, justice, equality, kinship, and prosperity can grow. And may the energy of peace be within and without us, always. And may the light of this candle take this prayer all to the world for all those who need it tonight. And so it is. Okay. As I said before, my name is Reverend Karem Barratt. I am an Interfaith Minister. I've been ordained for almost 2 years now. And I started life as a Catholic back in my home country, Venezuela. But I can honestly say that my spiritual path started with tarot cards. And I will tell you a little bit about it. When I was growing up, I never heard about tarot. I knew there were card readers. But in Venezuela at the time, the cards that were used were what we call the Spanish cards. They're very similar to playing cards. I never visited a card reader until I was 24 and 1 week before I got married the first time. And my mother took me. And to be honest, at the time, I did not believe in anything related to foreseeing the future or reading cards or anything else. I just went to please my mother. And I was not impressed with what the lady told me. But funnily enough, everything she said came to pass very, very fast. And that did open my mind, but that was about it. Now, this is 1990, and I find myself in America. And a few months after I have arrived there, the first Iraq war started. And I had seen a movie about Notre Dame's prophecies and the end of the world and the prince with the blue hat. And I saw Saddam Hussein had a blue beret or hat or something. And I was like, oh my God, the end of the world, and I'm here all by myself. So I decided to go to a bookshop to learn more about Notre Dame. And that's how I discovered the esoteric session of the bookshop. And at the end, I didn't get anything about Notre Dame. I got a set called the Karma cards, because I always believe in reincarnation, even as a Catholic. The moment I learn about reincarnation to this day, that's what makes most sense to me. And it was a very interesting set. I still have it. But at the end of the book, the author said, you could use these cards as a mini tarot. And that made me very, very curious. What is a tarot? Because I like the karma cards. So I said, well, if the karma cards are modeling themselves to this thing called tarot must be very exciting. So I went back to the bookshop and got my first tarot set, which actually I still have. Let's see if I can show it here. I was looking for the camera. It's called the Celtic Tarot. And had I known more about tarot, maybe I would have not gotten it because for a beginner it's a bit hard to learn to read the cards with it. But I have always loved the imagery. With this tarot deck, I started both my love of tarot and my love of everything Celtic and Celtic spirituality. So, as most people, I got the tarot out of curiosity of the possibility of reading the future and learning what was going to pass. And I actually became a very, very good tarot reader. And no modesty there. But the more I learn with this particular set, the more I learn about different things. So with the Celtic tarot, I learned about Celtic, a little bit of Celtic mythology, but in the practice they recommended meditation, for example. And again, at the time, all I knew about meditation was that you sat and say, oh, and that was about it. So through tarot, I started learning more about meditation and learning how to meditate. And also through tarot, I came in contact with earth-based spirituality, such as Wicca. The same story. I started investigating more about tarot and witches use it, and who are the witches? Well, there are witches that are Wiccans, and there are witches that are no Wiccan. And I was like, what is a Wicca? And so I started learning about Wiccanism. So tarot has taken me to very, very interesting places in my life, and I'm terribly grateful. I actually work as a tarot reader back in Venezuela, professional tarot reader, and I had good clientele, and I enjoyed it very much. And then as I continue my spiritual studies, I kind of stopped using it a bit with other people. Not because I was afraid of tarot at all, but I had noticed that some people were becoming too dependent on me and my readings. And where that's good for businesses, I didn't feel it was good for the client. I didn't feel that becoming dependent on anything is good for people. I had some clients I actually had to turn back and said, I read the cards to you a week ago, I'm not going to do it again. There's a saying that I once read in astrology that I always apply with tarot. The cards suggest, but they don't make you do anything. What you do with your life is really up to you. So, the cards, when you do a reading, let's say, to learn a bit about the future, it's basically a suggestion of a possibility. But the more I learn about spirituality and tarot, the more I found a very strong spiritual power within the tarot cards. On a practical level, one of the beauty of tarot cards, especially if you find the pictorial ones, the ones that are in are based. Oh my God, I just forgot it. What's the classical name of the tarot cards? The Rider-Waite. The Rider-Waite inspired cards. You will find that they describe visually almost every possible experience during anybody's lifetime. And especially with what is called the Major Arcana. We have what is called the journey of the fool, which is the journey of the human soul through life. And it's a journey that repeats itself in different ways and in different times. But when you go to the Minor Arcana, which some people tend to look at a little bit less than the Major, that's not my case. Again, when you have a Rider-Waite inspired tarot, you're going to find images of people in certain situations or reacting in a certain way. And like I say, it's like anything that could happen to you somehow is described in the tarot cards. Now, the tarot cards have a mysterious history, and this can spark debates, sometimes heated debates, where the tarot cards comes from. Historically, they appear in Italy in the Renaissance. Now, there is a debate actually about what came first, because originally it was thought that the trumps, which was the name used for the tarot cards, came first, and the regular everyday playing cards derived from it. And now some tarot scholars think that might be actually opposite, that the everyday cards from which we get the minor arcana came first, and then the major arcana developed from it. In any case, historically, the first news we have about tarot is in the Renaissance. And that contradicts the belief of many people who think that tarot is much, much older than that. Some people really believe that tarot originated in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, and it sort of trickled down on the way to India and then on the way back through the gypsies and other people. I have even read that the tarot is like a mini version of the wisdom you could have found in the Alexandrian library. But historically, that's not proof. That said, however, I do have my own theory about it. Because if you think about the Renaissance, this is a time where in Italy and in different parts of Europe, people are getting reacquainted with classical knowledge, with Roman knowledge and Greek knowledge. But if you go beyond that, we know that both Roman and Greek knowledge had knowledge about Egypt and had Egyptian influence. So I don't think it's unlikely that whoever created the cards during the Renaissance was inspired on one hand on Christian mysticism. Let's remember that, Renaissance is the end of the Middle Ages, and the Middle Ages is the golden era of Christian mysticism. But on the other hand, is also inspired by the readings coming from the classics. Actually, magic inspired in classicism also started in the Renaissance. So you can see that there's a possibility that indirectly, yes, the tarot does come from Egypt. And one of the cards that proved that to me is my favorite card. Well, one of my favorite, which is the star. Let's see if I can. There. Okay. I don't have a Rider-Waite tarot as such, so this is the one I have that comes closest to the traditional images of the Rider-Waite. Okay. So the stars, we have a lady, in this case, golden hair lady, in the middle of the night, and she's pouring water, both in a body of water, a lake or a stream, and then onto the land. And in the classical imagery, we have a big star at the top and like little 7 stars around. And usually there is a bird and a tree. Some people think it's a sycamore tree. And to the west of the image, usually we have some kind of mountain. Here the mountains are not so clearly to the west, and we don't have the bird. So I have another one here. Can we see it? Okay. Where I have the bird, but I don't have the mountain. But I do have a very, very tall tree that could pass as a mountain. Now, why do I say that this card seems to prove to me that there is some Egyptian influence in the cards? Well, if you learn a little bit about Egyptian mythology, you find the goddess Hathor. And there are many qualities in the star that seem to reflect Hathor. For a starter, one of the functions of Hathor had to do with the Nile and the overflowing of the Nile. It's true that there are other Egyptian gods that they seem to do this the Egyptian gods seem to sometimes come together. And in some part of Egypt, one god will do the same function that another god would do in another part of Egypt. So for some people in Egypt at the time, Hathor was in charge of the overflowing of the Nile. But there's something else about this body of water that is very still and is reflective as a mirror. And there was a strong connection between Hathor and mirrors in Egypt, to the point that a mirror would be called a Hathor. Okay. Then we have the big star and the 7 little stars around it. And Hathor is a peculiar goddess in the sense that it is her, but somehow she herself is divided into the 7 Hathors, which are usually used for divination and for blessing. Another of Hathor's functions had to do with guiding the soul to the land of the dead. And in Egypt, one part of the soul, called the Ba, was depicted as a bird with a human face. So yeah, it's true that the bird in the card doesn't have a human face, but it's a bird. And the land of the dead was considered to the west. And like I say, in the original rider cards, the mountains are to the west. And finally, Hathor is called the golden hair lady or the golden lady. And like I say, originally the star card was depicted as a golden hair lady. So there are all those little things that make me think that yes, there is an indirect Egyptian influence in the tarot. But there's definitely a very strong Western influence in tarot. A Christian, like I said, esoteric or spiritual Christianity in there. And that has to be accepted. So some people feel that by saying that, you're somehow offending some belief. But acceptance is the first step to action and to do whatever you need to do. Now, the beauty with tarot nowadays is that it has developed to the point that you can almost find any tarot for almost every kind of belief. I keep mentioning the Rider-Waite because the Rider-Waite gave birth in a way to the modern tarot as we know it by creating images for what is called the minor card, the minor arcana. I have somewhere here, because now I am full of tarot cards and I can't see it. The Marseille Tarot, which is also a classical one, but I can't find it now. But usually, here. Okay, can you see it? This is from the Tarot of Marseille. I can't pronounce it properly. And this is the 5 of coins. And this is how the original tarot would present the 5 of coins. Now, you somehow have to see in this image something that tells you that people are having economic problems, or they're about to lose an opportunity, or there's some hardship coming into it. And personally, I just memorized it. I knew that when I had the 5 was something like this. The beauty of the Rider-Waite was that it took that and turned it in a proper situation, which I can't find right now. I think I left some in the room. So in the Rider-Waite, we have people in the middle of a snowstorm, and there's some coins in the ground that they can see, and they pass through a lighted window that suggests a church, but they're so into looking down and sorrowful that they don't see the church. So that clarifies the meaning of hardship, of being in danger of losing opportunity, of being so into your own sorrow that you don't see the help around you, or sometimes it's seen as lacking enough self-esteem to realize that you're worth it, that you're worth the help, that people will help you because you have an inherent human dignity to yourself. So nowadays the tarot world has expanded, to cover, like I said, almost every belief and spirituality. So I have here, well, I showed you my first one that was a fluke. I had no idea I was going to like Celtic work as much. But, you know, it was created. Let me see through there. It was created for people either of a Celtic inheritance legacy or who were interested in Celtic mysticism or mythology, or they simply like the Celtic art. I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera, but this is a beautiful, beautiful tarot deck. And the major arcana images are hauntingly attractive with all these Celtic knots and intrications and colors. And if you could see it really close, it's a bit like an abstract painting, and little dots that come together, and then when you walk 3 paces back, then you can see the actual image. But let's say, for example, you were into the earth-based spirituality, be it Wiccanism, general paganism, Druidism, then you could find this kind of tarot more to your liking. So here we have the magician, and you know, it has the antlers that suggest Carnunos, which is an important god or mythological character in most pagans' spirituality. So that will talk to you and resonate to you. One of my favorite ones, which is hard to find, it's kind of oldish, shows the major arcana as Egyptians. Can you see there? Okay, so here's the goddess Maat as the representation of justice. But in this particular tarot, the rest of the minor arcana represents different cultures. So we have the Vikings for the swords, and we have, I think it's the Mayan for the cups, and we have some African tribe for wands, and we have people from India for the coins. So if like you're multicultural and multi-race, you know, you will find an attraction to this kind of tarot. This is one of my favorite, to be honest. Again, it seems to be pagan inspired. This is the sun, and we have again the Carnuno imagery. But when you look at the minor arcana, the description of the situations are very clear and very friendly. And this is a quirky one I have. It's called the Whimsical Tarot, which actually uses fairy tales and nursery rhymes to describe the cards. So the moon, in this case, is the poem "The Cow Jumped Over the Moon." And when you think about the meaning of the moon, a sense of confusion, of not being clear, and you remember that little poem, which is so whimsical and crazy at the same time, you can see the connection there. So why am I talking about all these cards and all these different styles? Well, because if you're going to meditate with tarot, the more the image resonates with you, the more powerful your meditation will be. Now, if you're a tarot reader, which I suspect there may be more than one here, you have your cards and you know what you like, and you have your strong connection. But if you're not a tarot reader, I suggest that you actually shop around before buying cards for meditation. There are many tarot places in internet that they review the cards and they show some of the imagery, and that can be helpful, so you can build the strong connection. One of the beauty of having all these different tarot, that in a way it's like going to different classes from different teachers, apparently about the same thing. And if you've been in the spiritual path for some time, you have found yourself, going first to one teacher and learning something with that teacher, and then sometime later you go to another workshop and maybe it's the same topic or maybe it's a different topic. So in your experience, you're going to find many direct and indirect teachers. With the tarot cards, it's like that. Every artist gets inspired by something different, even if they're trying to depict the same idea or more or less the same meaning. Their own experience, their own connection to the divine, their own spirituality is going to affect their work. So so you find, I'm sorry, if the more you like an artist, a tarot artist, the stronger the connection you're going to find with the cards. And if you're like me, it may be possible that you develop a kind of a hobby collection and start getting cards and cards and cards. And I can tell you one thing that not many people usually say right now, which is there will be some decks to which you cannot connect for no real reason that you can explain. I mean, you may actually like the images, you read the book and it gives you another idea of how to use the cards or an additional meaning to the cards, and yet there's no feeling there, as we say in Venezuela. I have two sets like that, and it's really, really sad because I was really excited about them. One is the Shakespearean tarot, and the other is the King Arthur tarot. I mean, I was sure I was going to love them. I love Shakespeare, and I love Arthur and the Arthur mythology. And I saw some of the images before buying it. I absolutely loved them, and I got them. I loved the images once I got them. But when I tried to work with the cards, to this day, I don't know what happened. I just don't feel connected to them. So I still have them. I'm kind of hoping that, there'll be a day when a little window opens and I find that connection. So don't feel discouraged if you get a deck and you don't feel like anything is happening, or this deck is very uninspiring. Just keep exploring until you find the one that is for you. That said, the Rider White is very popular. So if you're a beginner, I would suggest go to Rider White or anything that's Rider White inspired. Because in my opinion, is easier to use. Also, if you are very visual, okay, that deck will probably connect to you better than a more abstract deck. And what I mean with abstract is when I showed you the Martial Tarot, okay, and here's my Celtic Tarot, which is beautiful. But if you are not very into abstract thinking, you may not inspire much. However, quite the opposite. If you are into abstract thinking, what you need is something to focus on, to meditate and relate an idea. This could be a tarot for you. The other benefit of having different tarots is because, like I said, each artist adds something or sees a message in a certain way. The more tarot cards that you handle, the more you learn, the more additional meanings you get in your repertoire, if you will. And I'm going to show it here with the Devil card, which people could get really scared. So this Devil card is pretty close to the original card that you will find. It's the devil as the summer, and it's really scary. If you look carefully, though, you will notice some things, like these people that seem to be enslaved by the devil. They're hardly bound to it. They could pretty much shake off themselves out of those chains. And that idea is represented quite differently in some tarots. So here I have, I think this is the Robin Hood one. And here the devil is not a creature but a chest full of money that is tied up into darkness. Now, these people are not tied up to the chest. They just don't want to let go. So they're seeing the exit outside. All they have to do is to let go to whatever that is tying them into this dark place, but either for fear or ambition or whatever other reason, they are not doing it. So again, it's the same message of taking off the change because it's not really that hard. But for some people, the devil has a very sexualized message. Like here, hope nobody gets offended by anything. So here the devil is two lovers. But there's something wrong with that love. There's something illicit to it. Because we have this rose and we have all this thorn really cutting them and hurting them. So they're in a situation that, yes, they want the pleasure that is there, but the pleasure is hurting them. And yet they won't let go. So again, the idea of letting go and shaking it. They still call it the devil here. But in this one, they don't call it the devil at all. They call it temptation. And in a way, it's a more subtle message than the previous one. You still have the two people, and there's the snake, and there's something healing and illicit, but it's not as painful. But there's, you have the fox, something sneaky, something that tells you that this is not a pure love or a right love somehow. There's something like that. There's that love. Or this situation, it may not be necessarily we're talking an affair, we're talking a love for something or that is not right for us. It could be the love for money in a bad way or ambition, something like that. And here it's really, really cute, but the message is still the same. Because here the devil is a bit like Pinocchio. Very easy. So yes, it's called the devil, but what you have is a puppeteer hand. And the puppet has not realized that the strings are broken. He's not really tied up to the puppeteer. He's just accustomed to the idea that he's a puppet of the puppeteer. But he does as he's told without realizing that he could walk free anytime that he wanted. So what I'm trying to say is with the different tarots, you're going to have one basic message. But the more tarots that you get to explore, you're going to find additional message or different ways of putting it. And if you were going to meditate for whatever reason on the devil, well, maybe you wouldn't feel too comfortable to meditate with this particular card. But maybe this one, here we have it, this one will be easy to focus on without any of the previous baggage of you may have about the devil and ideas about the devil or anything like that. So do explore, do look around, do feel follow your gut. Like I did with the Celtic one. I was coming from Venezuela, and as far as I know, I have no Celtic ancestors to speak of, no blood ancestors to speak of. But the moment I saw the car, it really made my heart thump, and there was something in the knots, in the image, in the colors that really, really resonated with me. And as I said before, I started my love affair with everything else. Now, so far I've been talking about the cars, but the focus tonight is on how to meditate and visualize with the car in more spiritual way to help develop our spirituality. Okay, so let me just get my notes because I have 9 suggestions. Okay, if you're accustomed to meditation, you may use something to focus on, like a candle or maybe the picture of a teacher, just to put your attention while you'll be seeing this out and let the thoughts pass. You can do the same thing with a tarot card. Now, there are 2 ways you can start this. You can consciously choose a card for whatever reason. And in this case, it would be good to have at least a very basic tarot book that will give you the meaning of the cards. So let's say you would like to explore or work a bit more with this idea of your inner world, of inner silence, of inner wisdom, maybe inner solitude, which is not the same as loneliness. So if you had a book, you would find that the hermit would be a card that is very keen to that you like to meditate on and work on. So just by putting this card in front of you and using it as the place to put your attention on, and you do your regular meditation, afterwards, ideas will come. Ideas will open that will help you explore that theme or topic that you want to. Then again, this is the tarot. So you could do this randomly. So you could take your deck and shuffle it. Maybe say, I would like the best card for this topic, or the best card for this moment in my life, or the best card to meditate about the situation I'm going through. And then take out a random card. And the same thing, you just put it as a place to focus your attention during your meditation. And I would suggest that after you have done your meditation, just look at the card again and write all the ideas that come to mind. And I always say, do not edit yourself. Whatever comes, you write it down. Don't stop to correct your grammar or where's the perfect place for a comma or a stop. Just write freely, and then put it away for at least 4 or 5 hours, even better if it's 2 or 3 days, and then reread it. And usually you will find an insight there, or the kernel of a project, or an idea to keep on pondering on and thinking about that may end up clarifying some doubts that you have, or an inspiration to start something new. So that's one of the ways that you can use the tarot, which is very, very basic. The other way that you can use that is a bit more a combination of meditation, guided meditation with visualization, is to get into the card. What do I mean by that? You do your centering practice. Come down, you breathe in. You may say a prayer and declare out loud your intention. And then you look at the card. You feel very comfortable. What card do I have here? Again, the hermit. And then you close your eyes and you visualize yourself inside this landscape. So that's why you have to look at the card carefully before doing it. And you imagine yourself, I'm standing here next to or behind or nearby this figure. And then you start asking yourself, where am I? What can I hear? What do I see? What do I smell? Put your senses to work. And then walk towards the figure and try to see it as clearly as possible. Now, usually in my experience, when I have done this figure is talking and saying something before I ask, and I just sit down and listen. And sometimes you very, very politely ask, do you have a message for me? Sometimes I don't. But again, more often than not, the figure is going to give you a message. And then you decipher when you get out of your visualization, what does it mean? How does it apply to me? What can I learn from it? What resonates the best and what resonates the least, and why so? So that is my main meditation practice when I use the tarot. Get into the card. You can repeat this several times, but once you become familiar with the landscape and the figure and becomes more and more real, this time you can bring questions for the archetype to answer if it wants to. So let's say, okay, the tower. Nobody likes the tower. The tower. Well, it does bring chaos. So in the tower, maybe the tower's not the best one because there's no particular. But since it came out, let's honor that. Okay. In the tower, you do have two figures that they're falling down. But this is a meditation slash visualization. So you can do anything you want. You can imagine these figures or these people before falling down. You can fly next to them as they fall down and ask them questions. You know, if you choose a tower consciously, it must be because you're going through a process of extreme change that is very, very scary. So you can ask the figure, you know, what is this happening to me? What can I learn from this process? What do you suggest I do? You're going to fall down and hurt yourself, and I probably would fall down and hurt somehow myself with this big change, because this is an earthquake in life when we have the tower. Yeah, it's a very, very deep change, and since that we believe to be truth, we're not really that truthful, and we're asked to basically bring down the construction of our life so we can rebuild anew. So you bring these questions to the figure and see what comes out. Now, similar to this visualization is the one where you actually take the place of the figure or the person in the card. Okay. So here I have, okay, let me see if I have here. Here I have as my beautiful Celtic parrot. This is justice. Okay. Imagine yourself first in the card. In this case, we have a very abstract background. So you may want to visit the card several times just as a witness and sort of imagine how this landscape really is. Okay. And then once you clear that, you put your place in the place of this lady here. And you see the world from her perspective. So what is she looking at? What is in front of her? What is around her? What is behind her? What is she hearing? What is she touching? What is she smelling? You know, what does it look like being from this point of view, from being from this place? What does the world look like? You know, if I'm justice and I'm sitting with my sword, how does the sword feel like? Is it heavy? Is it light? What do I feel when I'm holding this sword? If she's sitting there with her sword, who's looking at her? Who's asking her anything? Who's talking to her? So again, the first time you can do this just to learn. And then the more familiar you become with this landscape, the more you can bring to the table. So maybe in a later occasion, you can bring a specific topic. How can I see this topic in my life sitting in the throne of justice? Or maybe from the devil's perspective, or maybe from, oh, this is another one that nobody likes. Death. You know, from death perspective. How do I face this situation? And how do I look at from the perspective of this card? So again, you're really getting involved into the energy of the tarot, and this is a strong energy, because even if the tarot was created in the Renaissance, we're talking about 500-ish years of collective collective energy and located in the soul of the cards, if you will. Now, another way you can use the tarot, for this, again, you will need at least a very basic tarot book, is to read the key message of the card and reduce it to one sentence. So let's see who wants to come here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here I have strength. You have here. Now, strength is an easy one, more or less, because it's very, like it says in the thing, strength is strength. But of course, the more you learn, you know a bit more than that. It's not only the physical strength, but it's the strength to control the lion in us and to be able to use its strength when necessary. So it's the ability to embrace our nature, which is shadows and lights, and controls what needs to be controlled, but use what can be used to our benefit. And this is not only related to the body, like health, but certainly is related to spirituality. So let's say the key message of strength is I embrace my nature and control the lion in me. Let's give an example. Once you have found the line that resonates best with you, once you have read different aspects of the card, you can use this as a sort of mantra during your meditation. So again, you would take the card and put it in your altar or a table, whatever you want to meditate, and use it as a focus point. And then that sentence that you've created from the meaning of the card, you use it as you would as the mantra, chanting it over and over and over again. And I have found this practice very, very useful when you're trying to learn the meaning of the cards, because you seem to absorb it, if you will, from a deeper place in your soul and in your mind that just memorize them by rote or nothing like that. And it gives you all the benefits that a mantra does. Now, this is more of a visualization than an actual meditation. Again, you choose your card, either on purpose or randomly, and you do a centering practice. And now you're going to visualize. And the first thing you're going to visualize is the car on the floor as a huge, huge carpet that you're standing on. Because the idea of this visualization is to develop a quality from the car into ourselves. So let's go back to strengths that I have here. Maybe if you're a shy person or you feel that you're a weak person, you would like to develop that strength to be yourself. The courage of a lion. To speak up your mind, for example. The courage to see truth as it is and don't shy away from it. The gentility, because not many people relate strength to gentility, but in some cards, the lady is really very gently sitting next to the lion. There is no struggle between them. Her only presence, her inner peace, opens the inner peace of the lion. So I like that. They say you want the strength of your inner peace to relate to maybe that part of you. Like, let's not call it darker, but hard to control sometimes or hard to understand sometimes. And you want to develop that quality, the inner peace to relate to my inner lion so we can live peacefully side by side as friends and not as enemies. Okay? So you are visualizing this huge carpet with the image of the card in it, and you yourself are standing on it. Okay? And then you're going to visualize, in this case, would be both the woman and the lion, as you would see a hologram in a science fiction movie or program, and you visualize it in front of you. Sorry. Okay? This is really to watch it, so. And once you have that image, that hologram there, you walk into it and sort of fuse yourself. And then you start exploring your body. What does it feel to have this strength within you? How does it feel in your body? Is your body different now? Just standing differently? How does your muscle feel? How does your brain feel? And then, still standing in your mega carpet, you're going to visualize how life would be if or when you walk through your own life with this quality. How would your life change if you really had the strong inner peace to calm down your lion and make it work with you and not against you? What would change? What would improve in your life? How would you act in certain situations? How would you relate to others? How would you see life with this quality developed in you? And you create that very strong visualization there. And then breathe in, breathe out. Whatever you usually do to come out of visualization, I usually suggest wiggling hands and toes and then open the eyes and maybe drink some water to ground yourself. And after that, there's two things you can do. My favorite one, which I already said, write everything down that comes to mind and then check it on some time later. But the other one is to keep the card as a sort of trigger, to this visualization. So every time you see the card, you sort of remember the visualization and you bring forth all those feelings that you had when in your visualization you were seeing yourself with the inner power of strength, the card. And obviously, the more you do the visualization, the stronger it will be. And especially if you commit yourself to take it from the realm of ideas and feelings and spirit to action. So, you don't have to do it right away, but do take actions that will reflect that quality that you have. I forgot it in English, sorry. You have put it in the ground of your inner being to blossom and to germinate, blossom, and grow. So this would be a very powerful spiritual practice that you could do with a tarot card. Now, there's another one that I don't do that much because, like I said, I'm not very abstract and very visual, but I know people that do it. That has to do with this kind of cards. Okay. I have known people that use this kind of cards as a sort of finger maze for meditation. So they go and let the finger follow the shape. Usually they know the meaning, and like you would in a labyrinth, just let your mind go and open up, and your fingers go all around, and they find that not only very relaxing, but many times they have an insight. And the other way that you could use it is like you would use a mandala. Okay, the same story with a mandala. It's a place to focus your attention, but just like a mandala, a tarot card has a meaning. So it will be a two-way communication in a spiritual level, if you will, if you open yourself to it. So that would be another way you could use tarot card as a form of meditation. And finally, because I'm running out of time, is you could do is like a visual board. Instead of using pictures from magazines, just use the cards that first, the ones that describe the situation you want to change, and then the ones that describe the outcome you want to see. And you can put them in a straight line, you can put them round, whichever shape works best for you or resonates best for you. And what I do is I take a picture of it, and then I print the picture, and I have it in a place I can see it every day. So it reminds me of, where I am and what I want, and just like you would with a visualization board or a manifestation board, I put energy into it. I see myself in what I want, and the cards are a reminder of what I want and how to do it, and the energy of the universe working there together with it. So that's some ideas of how you can use the tarot card. There are many myths about tarot. I hardly pay any attention to them. Yes, it's if you're very much into ritual, and you feel you have to take your cards and wrap them in silk and put them under your pillow and put them in the moonlight and crystals on it and bless them, please, by all means, do it. But if that doesn't come naturally to you, and you don't feel like it, and you're confused, and somehow it creates anguish, because you don't know if you're doing something right or wrong, then just like that. You know, tarot cards are beautiful. To me, they are works of art, most of them. They do have their own energy, like everything in life, but they do have a special energy because they combine that visual beauty of the art with a very strong spiritual and esoteric message. But they're tools, so you relate to your tools in your own way. I have bought all my cars. Nobody has ever given me a car or gifted me a car, and you know, it has worked for me. It has worked for me in a spiritual way. It has worked for me when I do professional readings. I even do what I call tarot essence, which is something we can do another day. So do relate to your cards. Do become familiar with it. Do explore them. I mean, the beauty of the tarot cards that there are little details there. They're like Easter eggs, you know, like surprises there that add to the meaning and give you other ideas, and maybe explain better not only the tarot meaning, but what you're adding to it, like the Celtic or the Egyptian spirituality. So do become very familiar with them. Do handle them. Do respect them, but don't become a slave to them or anything, for that matter. And don't let people scare you. Okay? Because there are people there who like to scare other people, or because they themselves are scared, they pass around that fear. So there's nothing to be afraid of tarot cards. They are full of wisdom, and if you start reading the books and you actually find the tarot masters, oh my God, the level of spirituality and wisdom and inspiration that you will find, I cannot describe. Like I said, I've been with tarot since 1991. I'm still with tarot. I'm still learning. I wouldn't look at myself, you know, a master or anything like that, you know, someone with experience. But there are people who have dedicated their life fully to tarot, and they have much to offer. Okay, so it's almost time for me to go. I think that finally I'm going to do in time with a very short prayer. May my power be filtered through wisdom. May my wisdom be filtered by truth. May my truth be filtered by kindness. May my kindness be filtered with love. So this is me, Karem Barratt. I would love if you visit my page, www.journeyingsoul.com, and look around, and if you can write me a little comment of what you think about the page and the different offers there, I would be very, very happy. So this is Karem Barratt saying goodbye. Bye.